Today marks the 90th day shared lessons I learn and continue to learn with you. But I hope these insights will inspire you, support your dreams, help achieve your goals, and really empower you to become the person that you want to become. Today I speak about personal growth framework, the structure. I will share seven key foundational things. Growth architecture. I think you need to understand that when you want to grow, what parts do we need to focus on? So those seven things are really one of the most important things that we need to consider when we think about growing ourselves. I think at the beginning, especially when you start, we want to make sure that everything is very simple and clear. I think that this structure, those seven things, are really foundational things to really start moving towards something meaningful. And I think that even though it's simple, seven steps, but are the key to making things happen. And I think that sometimes it's very, very hard to really lay down foundational structures. And I think that that's hard is because we sometimes overcomplicate things. And sometimes going back and say like what are the structural most important things, what are those simple things that really move the mountains, and those seven steps is those that are moving mountains. So number one, self-awareness. Self-awareness is the foundation for personal growth. If you are not aware, if you do not understand yourself, it's very, very hard to build something on top of it. I think that sometimes, including myself, I think I developed things, I developed skills, I developed traits that I didn't need for my future because I was pursuing dreams that it was not for me. I was pursuing dreams that it was based on other people, opinions about me, where I supposed to go. And then I realized that I needed to reflect on that. The most important part that why I pursued something that I didn't need to pursue was that I was not aware who I truly am and who I want to become. But when we have a self-awareness and when we have foundation, it's very easy to really make decisions based on that foundation. Because if foundation is built for a high rise, we'll be able to build massive on top of it. If foundations are very small, all the small things could build on top. So that means what we need to really know. We need to really do those daily journaling, understand maybe meditations, prayers, so just to make sure that we're able to get closer to ourselves over and over and over again. And then sometimes it's just like journaling, feedbacks from mentors. And I think that one of the most beautiful things is that people always looking for shortcuts. And shortcuts in life is having a mentor who have done what you want to achieve and you ask for advice. That is one of the best shortcuts in life. Number two is vision and purpose. And vision and purpose is that North Star, the North Star. And I think that sometimes we get lost. And the North Star, I think that it's a beautiful thing to have that North Star when you know exactly where to go. When you get lost, the North Star is direction. Direction where you're supposed to go. I remember that when we were with my dad in the forest and we were I remember I felt lost, but my dad knew based on the sun where we are, we're supposed to go. And I think that the North Star is exactly the same thing. That in the means if during the day you have some direction, and during the night you know exactly where it's supposed to go. And I think that we always need to have that the North Star to really just when you understand that when you wake up one day and you start to realize that maybe you are going to wrong direction, you say, okay, where is my North Star? And that means that we need to really craft that vision statement that in 10 years, 5 years, and really have that purpose that is this is this will really I will be able to achieve this success with what I want to achieve. Because I think that there's a beautiful question that I want you to ask yourself, and I probably you've heard it, is that if money, fear, and time were no object, what would I dedicate myself to? And that's a great question for a vision. When you have that in mind, of course, that moment you're able to really move towards that vision. Number three is goal setting, turning vision into milestones. Vision is a massive, massive, massive goal itself. And I think that's if vision doesn't scare you, maybe that vision is too small. But again, that vision needs to be broken down into milestones, and those milestones are the goals. And of course, there's like when you have massive vision, we have milestones in the long-term goals, and those long-term goals could be broken down into mid-term and short-term goals. And I think that that's sometimes people are afraid of their goals because they are not broken down into daily activities that they're able to do to really make sure that they're able to achieve it. And I think that that's one big mistake. That's why goal setting is such an important topic, because we need to really break down big milestones into small, actionable steps and activities. So we have long-term goals, medium-term goals, short-term goals, and of course be able to look into what is the best way to really set those goals, those smart goals, just to make sure that we're able to really get closer to them over and over and over again. Number four is habits and system design. That is daily growth engine. We need to really move that engine. We need to use that engine to really grow ourselves, improve ourselves. And I think that the habits and routines that we place. And I think that one of the most important part about systems and processes in place is that during the bad days we fall onto not onto our goals, but we fall onto our habits, on our routines and processes and systems in place. That means it's so important to build habits and routines that you do not need to think and you do them automatically. I really love that when you think about habits is that we need to make sure that that habit that we pursue is so automatic that we do not need to use even energy to do it. When we reach that level, that is a system or process that works no matter how you feel. Because sometimes when you don't feel energy, when you don't feel that you want to do anything, at that moment you don't have energy to push yourself to do the habit. So we need to make sure that the habit doesn't require your energy to push it. It's so ingrained in you. I think that's very, very important. And there's three probably types of habits that we need to really consider is identity based habits. So it means like who you are. So that means I'm a runner. So that means you run every single day or every third day. So that means like who you are. That means that when you choose the identity, the behavior is much more and habit much easier. Keystone habit. This is one of the my favorite topics. Is that every single person needs to understand. Okay, what is the keystone habit? So that means that when you're able to do that keystone habit, you're always saying that okay, my life is in order. It might be that you're in a massive house, massive storm, but keystone habit is an anchor that puts you back in order. And it could be anything. It could be reading 15 minutes a day. It could be running 15 minutes a day. It could be connecting with someone 15 minutes. It doesn't need to be a massive habit. It just needs to be the habit that really brings you back to order. That's the keystone habit. And that small wins is really taking away because sometimes we have a tendency to say like everything is going wrong. But when a keystone habit is in place, you're not able to say that everything goes wrong. And the last thing about habits is that habit stacking. That means that when we think about habits, when you really stack great habits together, you're able to really use the momentum and really achieving more. With that momentum, you're able to really achieve more. So we're able to say, what kind of habits do we stack in one place to make sure that they're able to maximize the benefit out of it? Number five, learning and skill building. That's expanding your toolkit or making your tools better, sharper. I think that is again one of the most important personal growth um, in a framework is one of the most important topics because we need to really become better. I think that's the most beautiful thing when I think about the beauty of life that we are able to become better. And because we're able to become better, our life will become better. Or if we change, our life will change as well. But it means we need to really focus on a couple of things. We need to really deliberately practice. So being very focused on what we need to improve and how we want to improve it. We're able to really have that balanced learning because if you just constantly just listening podcasts or just reading books, maybe that's not the most effective way. Maybe just really how we can be able to take action, how we could really reflect, how able to read books, how we could really listen podcasts, how we could get mentorship. So balanced learning, I think, is always best way to really be well-rounded person. And at the same time, I think that we every single person needs to have that skill roadmap. So that means when you think about the future and what kind of person when you become, what kind of skills that person has. And it's like 3 5 skills, and then be able to ask, okay, what kind of things do I need to do in the next 5, 10, 20 years, you will develop that roadmap, because it might be that when you think about 5 skills that you want to develop, it might be that I want to focus on 1, 2 for the next 5 years. And after that, after those 5 years, I'll focus on other skills. So communication, maybe sales, maybe persuasion, networking. It might be that for this year will be one skill, and another year will be another skill. And that's why it's very important, a skill roadmap, that we're able to really map how we want to develop those skill sets. Number 6 is reflection and review. And this is basically adjustment cycle. We need to have cycles. And the cycle is that, of course, we execute, we reflect, we get better, and we execute. We reflect, get better, and execute. And that cycle adjustment, that means that we need to understand, okay, what do we need to do? So that means that we need to have daily, weekly, monthly, yearly reviews, reflections about all the things that it did, didn't do, what we planned, what we did, what we planned, what we didn't do, and really just make sure that what we able to adjust, what is working, what is not working, what we need help with. So those questions really brings more awareness again. What things need to change. And the pivot is a very beautiful word. I love that word pivot. Is that sometimes we need to really change the path to achieve our vision, because I think that this is one of the most important lessons in life as well, that when the path doesn't lead to a vision, and you chose a path to the vision, but the path is not the right path, we do not quit on the vision. We pivot and we change the path to the vision. And this is one of the most important lessons, because people quit on the vision because first path that they chose, they think, this is not for me, that vision. This is not for me. The path is not for you, not the vision. And last one, number 7, is environment and relationships. And that is to be honest, growth multiplier. If you really want to multiply our growth, you need to have an environment that supports it. If a flower is growing and you want to really support that growth, maybe we need to pour a little bit more water, maybe a little bit more sun. What do we need to really, what kind of environment do you want to create for that flower, to bloom? And that's exactly what we need to ask of ourselves. What environment do you want to build for myself that I could bloom as fast as possible? So that means this physical space, what is around me? Is that clutter space? Do I need to unclutter? It's the same thing with our mental space. Is that clutter? What do we need to remove to really have more clutter-free environment inside and outside? Digital environment. What other things like acquaintances, friends, and maybe I've spent too much time in social circles that is online that is actually doesn't serve you. Maybe I spend too much time in observing other people rather than building my own life. I have some kind of accountability system. That means that master groups, mentors, friends, that you're able to be accountable for yourself and for others. I think that is one of the best ways to really make sure that we're able to really multiply that growth. And I think that there's those 7 steps. I think those 7 steps is very, very essential to reflect on and say, like, what do I do well with them? What do I need to adjust? And I think that when we do just those 7 steps, I think growth becomes so much more easier. It takes a while to do them all, so that means that we need to really focus on one thing at a time. But when you really start seeing the benefits and growth for every single step, I think that after a while we're able to really say that, wow, I thought it's complicated, but it's much more simple than I thought. I think that that's one of the biggest lessons as well, that people are looking for complicated things to get successful. But the most important things in life are simple, just we need to really do those simple things. And that's, I think, that is with the growth framework is exactly the same thing. It's quite simple, but we need to do those. So I hope you choose to win, and see you tomorrow.